Hi, my name is Hannah. Welcome back to my channel, Savage Reads. I have read some interesting books that I am excited to talk about. I read a couple translated fiction and a really great Halloween themed book, so I can't wait to jump into those. But quick embroidery project update. So I am still working on the same embroidery project. It is taking ages, which is great. But we've got the trees and I'm filling them in. I'm feeling like we got a little bit to the can't see the trees for the leaves over here, but we'll see how it goes over here. I still need to keep filling in this bottom half and this middle part right here, and then the whole bottom part with some flowers and grasses, and we will see how it turns out. But I'm having a great time. It's a lot of fun. I am seeing French knots in my dreams. So I did go this morning to get a haircut, so if you notice me looking weird in the camera, is that how short this piece is? Kind of thing. But let's jump into the books that I have read this last week. The first book was recommended by Scott at Gunpowder Fiction and Plot, and I picked up Days at the Morisaki Bookshop by Satoshi Yagisawa, and it was translated by Eric Ozawa. This is a short and sweet book of a woman who, after going through a painful breakup, decides to move in to her uncle's bookstore to help him out. And it's all about that connection you find from reading and connecting with other people and making genuine friends, and it was sweet. Was there anything huge or life-altering here? No, not really, but if you like those sweet family and friend kind of books that make you appreciate the people around you and appreciate the books that have had meaning in your life, then yeah, pick this up. There is a follow-up that is called More Days at the Morisaki Bookshop, and I don't think I'm gonna pick it up, but I enjoyed Days at the Morisaki Bookshop enough that, yeah, I recommend it if you want something fluffy and relaxing and kind of sweet. Now, on the subject of translated literature, I also read Stolen by Anne-Hélène Lestadius, translated by Rachel Wilson Broyles. And this was originally written in Swedish. This follows quite a while in the life of a young Indigenous woman who is a part of a reindeer herding community. And it follows the difficulties that they have with keeping their way of life with climate change and xenophobia, and also with a man who is out to kill as many of their reindeer as he can, and the fear that goes along with this, the lack of attention from the police. I think this book did a really great job at giving you that ramp up of tension that you just felt so hopeless and so frustrated that things weren't being resolved, that things weren't happening when they should, that these police reports were being filed and no one was doing anything. And you could see the different characters, how they react, and how they are able to put up with or not put up with the hopelessness of the situation that they are in. I thought it was really well done, and it was really interesting to read about an Indigenous community that is not from North America, because I think we often read of some of those stories. I thought it was very interesting to see the similarities between the way that Indigenous peoples in the North Americas have been treated and how that is so similar to how these Indigenous people in Sweden have been treated. I think there were parts that felt almost a little repetitive. It's just another reindeer is killed, another reindeer is killed, but that felt very intentional by the author to build up this feeling of hopelessness and this inability to act in a way to preserve your way of life, and I completely get where they were going with it, so highly recommend. I think this one was really good. Oh, and I completely forgot to mention that I think I got this recommendation from the channel Beyond Books, so I will make sure to link their channel down below, so make sure to check them out. This next book was a recommendation from the channel Tofucado, and I will make sure to link her channel down below. And this is the perfect spooky season book. I listened on audiobook to How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. And I have read a couple other Grady Hendrix books before, and so I thought I knew what to expect. You get some of those classic horror tropes, but in a very fun, updated sort of way. And I was excited to get into this, and wow. This book is following our main character, Louise, as she has to go home and clean out her parents' house after they died. And her mother was a puppeteer and a collector of dolls, and this place is filled with dolls and puppets, and Louise starts remembering some things. Now, Louise is having some clashes with her brother, and they need to just get this house sold as quickly as possible so she can go back to her daughter and to her life. This has those classic haunted house, dolls are going to kill you kind of thing, but it was done in a really fun way. And I get that serious subjects are talked about in this, but Grady Hendrix has a way of making it fun even when horrible things are happening. Here is something to very much recommend this book, or to keep you away from it. I was listening to this in my car, and I'm driving around, and there was a specific scene that came up, and I am in the car. I have never had this happen before. I'm listening to it in the car, and I'm screaming. I was going, no, while it was playing. Wow. If a book can get that strong of an emotional reaction out of me, like, applause, highly recommend if you want something scary and something horror, but also not in a way that makes you stay up at night for weeks afterwards. At least not for me. I felt like it had those great elements of making you emotionally invested and really engaged in the moment, but then it wasn't anything that is going to scar you forever. And so I thought that it was a really great balance of fun and creepy and scary, and I thought it was the perfect Halloween read. I am so glad I picked this up. It was just what I wanted, and really, there was one scene where I was screaming and another scene where I think my face just got stuck like this for quite some time because ugh, but perfect for the genre. Highly recommend if you like this kind of book. Now, Melinda at A Web of Stories recommended the book Symphony of Secrets by Brendan Slocum. And this book is following two timelines. We have a music professor who is invited to decode some music from his favorite composer and to get it ready for the stage. But as he does this, he starts to uncover some information about the past of this composer. We also get the other timeline with the composer and what was happening in his life. So you get these dual timelines pulling you through the story, and you get to find out the secrets as they come to light, and it's a bit of a mystery. I think this book did a really great job at exposing the difficulty that women, people of color, people with mental differences may have in getting the recognition that they deserve for the work that they have put forth. And so I thought that this was really well done, seeing contributions of Black musicians and how they were stolen or undercut. And so I thought that that was a really good discussion. I thought the characters were really likable. Josephine was such a likable character and so interesting to read about. I think the only reason that this didn't end up being just like perfect 5-star for me is for a book that says A Symphony of Secrets and says that it's a bit of a mystery. I did think the mystery was kind of obvious from the get-go, so I didn't quite feel all the urgency in solving the case. I felt the urgency in the way of people trying to silence the truth and that kind of thing, but I didn't feel like I need to know what happened. I knew what happened from pretty early on, and so that was a little off-putting. And then also I feel like the end wrapped up a little too neatly, and so there were just a couple things that didn't quite work for me, but overall I really liked these characters, and I do think it's a subject matter that really needs to be talked about. So I do recommend it. It was a super interesting book. I had a great time reading it. That is what I have read the past week or so. If you have thoughts on any of these books, please let me know in the comments down below. Or let me know what you are reading for Halloween. Are you reading anything spooky? I am not great at reading seasonally. I really just read whatever comes up next on my list. And so luckily I got a good haunted house book in there to prepare me for Halloween. But if you are reading anything great for the season, let me know and I will see you all in the next one.